What's up, everybody? It's the RCLman here. Welcome to podcast number 43. Today, I'll just go ahead and say, I'm going to try out some new stuff. I already tried out a new introduction. Now we've got a new section to add to the podcast. We're switching it up today. I'm also thinking about changing the name, but we'll get to that later, okay? Anyway, if you are new here, this is the RCL podcast for now. Every week I go through just some stories, some things that happen to me throughout the week. Then I'll look over some of the video game news that happened over the past week. And then today we're trying out This Week in Science is a new thing that I want to try. If you are interested, go to youtube.com/theRCLman and join us there. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Also, check out the Twitter at theRCLman, the Twitch, theRCLman, and in the description there's a link to the Discord. You can join our little community of people we got going on here. But today, at least news-wise, we got to talk about Telltale coming back from the dead. Little medium about that, but we'll talk about that later. New Resident Evil game, more surprise mechanics, although this time from a different company, and some not so good stuff happening in the video game industry. But we'll get to that later. First of all, what happened this past week? This past week, I got to touch an ass. I got to touch a donkey. Yeah, we went to the we went to the state fair. I'm just going to say that. We went to the state fair, and they had a whole bunch of stuff to do there. It's weird because we got in on Dollar Day, so it was like it only cost us $1 to get in, and that was pretty cool. Got to touch a donkey and got to touch a camel, and it sounds weird when I say I got to touch him. I got to touch him. No, I got to pet a bunch of animals, a bunch of goats and donkeys and camels and cows, and didn't get to touch the porcupine. And they had this weird looking lemur thing that I couldn't touch. And then they had a kangaroo locked up in the back that we couldn't see. And I was like, damn, I want to pet a kangaroo. Anyway, so we saw a bunch of those. We got to see a bunch of lions and tigers. No bears, oh my. And we had that one tiger was in the show, and he like threw up. He was just like, nah, I'm not having it today. He was not. And then the other one, like the guy was like, hey, lion, come, jump on the thing or whatever. And the lion just laid down. He was like, I'm not having it. I'm not doing it. Let's see. What else happened at the fair? I didn't have a lot of money, so it was lucky that we got in on Dollar Day. God, let me just say, I'm not normally a person to, be real. I don't know how to explain this. If you want to see the worst that your state has to offer in terms of people, go to the state fair. I mean, there was some lookers. Let's just say that. Anyway, and then we saw that, that giant ball with, the motorcycles going around it? That was there. We saw this one girl that was she was supposed to be this amazing acrobat or whatever. She just kind of stood on top of a pole, which I mean, I guess is somewhat impressive. It's way, way high up in the air, but it's she didn't I don't know, sit on her stomach on the pole or used one leg or anything. She just kind of stood and hung onto a pole. So it was not the most impressive performance, although I probably wouldn't have went up that high. I don't know. And then, let's see, they had dirt bikes. That was it. So, I mean, it was a fun little experience. Hey, for $1, you know what I mean? Got to see a bunch of stuff. Got to pet some animals. It was okay for $1, Anyway, let's get on to the news stuff. Now, PAX West is going on. I think it's PAX West. APAX, whichever PAX it is, the gaming convention thing, is going on. So, I don't think any of this news is from that, but probably next week we'll get some of that news coming out here. But like I said earlier, Telltale Games coming back from the dead. So last year, Telltale Games went under. They had I think it was due to poor management and just kind of, they had a lot of projects. They spreaded themselves out too thin, basically went out of business. So then you saw all of the Telltale games, the Walking Dead games. Let's see, they had Game of Thrones and Tales from the Borderlands. All of those just slowly kind of went away. But now there's a group of game industry veterans who kind of got together and purchased what remained of Telltale Games, and they're going to be bringing it back. LCG Entertainment, which I've never heard of. That's who bought them. They said that they've hired some of the old employees back as freelance, so not full time. Although they did mention that those opportunities could come later, as they see kind of how it does. They also said they will be re-releasing certain titles from the library. They did a lot of things like with Game of Thrones, where it's like licensing issues, so they can't necessarily put things back out they don't have the license for. But some of the things will be coming back. They also said they do have plans to kind of keep going on some of their best-selling ones, which is cool. I don't think The Walking Dead would be one of those coming back. But I did see where the a writer on Borderlands 3 said they would love to come back and do another Tales from the Borderlands, which I actually did a full playthrough on the channel. I enjoyed it. It was a little, I'm not too heavy into the Borderlands lore, but with Borderlands 3 coming up, who knows? It'd be cool for them to like either announce or like say like, hey, we're gonna work on another Borderlands, because I know a lot of people did like that one. Oh, let's see. Okay, so just before PAX, sometimes whatever. Capcom released sort of, not really a teaser, but like they just kind of were like, hey, we're gonna talk about a new Resident Evil thing. They have a website where it's called Project Resistance, and then the RE in Resistance is like highlighted red. So Resident Evil, something Resident Evil related is gonna come out. Yeah, I don't know. They said you could get a better look at it at Tokyo Game Show in September. I don't know when exactly that is, but they'll be showing trailers for whatever it is. Somebody went through, and so they already have a trailer on their YouTube channel, but I guess you can't see it publicly. And somebody went through and did like some thumbnail capture stuff. They were hackers. That's what they did. They were hackers. And they were able to kind of just suss out some information. Looks like it's going to be a 4-player co-op like spin-off type game. It'd be interesting. I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan myself, although I don't know. We'll see. October I'm going to be playing a lot of scary games, so I might go back to one of those. But I feel like a 4-player like co-op thing. It's not a full-blown game. It's not Resident Evil 8, unless maybe it is Resident Evil 8 and they're just throwing us off. You know what I mean? But so I mean, a cool like 4-player co-op. They just saw some thumbnails and they saw like I guess they saw some stuff on there that indicated it would be a multiplayer type deal. That's cool though. You know what I mean? I feel like me personally not caring for scary games that much. I would rather do a 4-player co-op type deal. I don't know. Somehow when you're in the world and you have like other people, it's not as scary, even though it's all a video game. It's not as scary anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's a cool idea. It's a cool little spin-off. They've done other spin-offs in the past, so hopefully it'll work out for them. But we'll see more on that in September. Next year is 2K20, NBA 2K20 being real dumb. That's sort of, kind of. So essentially they had a new trailer for NBA 2K20 showing off all of the surprise mechanics they have added on. That's right, loot boxes, well not loot boxes, card packs, and basically, gambling. Gambling without, you can take this with a grain of salt because they have not mentioned microtransactions as in paying money for the card packs. They've got like a Plinko thing where you drop the thing in and it goes back and forth and, it lands on a color thing and you get whatever. They've got a slot machine, an actual slot machine in there. They've got like a spin to win thing. So there was such a harsh backlash on the trailer that they removed it because nobody wants these freaking gambling microtransactions. What is wrong with you giant companies? They want money. That's what's wrong with them. But it's like nobody wants them. People want them. Here's what I'm saying, as I was trying to say earlier. They have not mentioned, hey, this is going to cost real world money. They've kind of only said you use in-game currency. The assumption there is that you would use real money to buy in-game currency. Again, they haven't said that they are going to do that, but they haven't said they're not going to do that. Because you would think that if they put this thing out and everybody hates it, because immediately everybody was like, you're just trying to get more money, like microtransactions. immediately everybody hates it. You would think that they would want to, I don't know, like, get in front of it. Well, I guess that's the thing, is that they don't want to say, hey, this is not including anything where you pay, like, actual money for it. The fact that they're not saying that means that, of course, that they're going to add that in there later. And they just don't want to mention it more. Or it's just like, don't do, you should have just left it, okay? Don't put that shit in the trailer. Like, if you want to sell the game, just sell the game first. And then if you're worried about, if you want to do the microtransactions, add it in later. I mean, people will bitch about it regardless. It's always going to be bitched about. But at least you could have sold a couple copies before you hurt your initial install base. You know what I mean? Now it's like, I don't know how many people are even going to... I mean, I wasn't going to look at it in the first place as a sports game. I don't care. But imagine the normal people that just see the headline of, like, you know, gambling or roulette style mechanics or whatever in the game. They're not even gonna read the full story. They're just gonna not buy the game. So you lost sales, I feel like, and I don't know for sure, but you lost sales because of your dumb decision. Anyway. Let's go on to the next thing here. I don't like microtransactions, okay? But the next thing here is kind of a serious one. Let's see. What was she? So a lady named Natalie Lawhead. I don't know exactly what I guess she does something music related or development related for video games. Essentially, laid out a long blog post accusing a longtime composer in the game industry of rape. And so not good, obviously not good. The only good thing I would say there is that, you know, her coming out and putting that online, you know, basically calling them out, also saying, you know, having to fight for pay, being disrespected at work, basically discriminated, and basically let go from her job eventually, which she does have proof from. It encourages other people who have experienced that to speak out. And after she did put out the long blog post about rape, is such a hard word for me to say. I don't know, not a hard word, but it's just like it's a bad word. You know what I mean? But yeah, once she put that out, you know, other people came forward with their, I guess, experiences, sexual assault stories within the game industry, which is surprising to me just because I'm not in that industry. But either way, it shouldn't be happening. You know what I mean? So, I mean, good on her to say that, and then, you know, encouraging. It's like the video game industry is having its own Me Too movement, which... Could I mean, it's good overall, because that's unacceptable behavior, you know. But you know, I don't even know what else to say, because it gets so heavy. Like I'm not a person who should be speaking about that stuff, but it happened. You know what I mean? Not good. I guess anybody else who has that story needs to come forward about it and hopefully get it resolved in some way so we can stop it from happening. You know what I mean? Ooh, last thing here for video games. Free PS4 games for the month. Not free, but, you know, PSN games. Is Batman Arkham Knight. I've already got it. Damn. But it's a good game. I should redo. I have a whole Let's Play series on it. I should redo it, because Sony blocked a whole bunch of cutscenes and shit from it. And then the last one for free games is Darksiders 3. Darksiders. I played through the first Darksiders, like, all the way. It was pretty good. Second one fell off. Third one now. Second one we got like 6 months ago is when they gave us the second one for free. So Darksiders 3, man. If you want it, there it is for PlayStation Network. And then let's see, Xbox free games were Hitman, and then there was something else. But Hitman Season 1 for Xbox free games this month. All right, the newest section on the podcast, This Week in Science. We just have one story for This Week in Science. It is a new way to harness more power from solar panels. What am I saying here? Basically, we all know the planet's heating up. Got to switch to alternative fuels, whatever. The new, you know, everybody's switching, you know, have solar panels on their houses, and I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of solar being installed, and then wind farms and everything like that. But essentially, some scientist somewhere, because I don't have it in front of me, found a way to harness more power from solar panels. It's more complicated than what I'm going to say, but let's just put it in simple terms. The sun beams down photons onto the solar panel. Photons are like discrete packets of energy, blah, blah, blah. One photon gets turned into one exciton, which I've never heard of before, but it's a thing apparently. And then that gets transformed into electricity, and then you use it. Well, they have a method now of changing one photon into two excitons, and then hopefully that would double the amount of energy that you would take out of it. But the issue is they've doubled the power, but it doesn't last as long. So I guess you could say, because I'm not hugely educated, I guess you could say if you change it from 1 to 1, then it disperses slower, so you have more time to actually harness that energy. Whereas if you do what they did and go from 1 to 2, it disperses quicker, or it dies quicker. You have less time to actually harness it, like nanoseconds. So it improves the power output, but at the same time, you have to still be able to capture it quick enough to, actually get that new power output. Anyway, that's it for this week in science. That's it for the new format of the RCL podcast. If you did like it, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, everybody. RCLman out.